Hello, hello, and welcome to Energize to Rise, your weekly 10-minute action plan for results. Now, if you've been joining me since I started the show way back at the beginning of September, you know that every show we dig into something that can help you make your number one priority for the goal happen easier, faster, more fun, and really just help you shift your perspectives. And this week and next week, I'm actually going to do two special episodes that tie to pre-election. I don't want to call it stress, but it's pre-election dynamics because people right now are tense. They're worried. There are people that are just so scared. And we want to be sure that you're acknowledging those feelings within yourself, but then also in the people around you, because the nation is pretty split. Polls show that. And whatever side you fall on, however this election turns out, half of the workforce, half of the people in this country are going to be upset. They're going to be overwhelmed. They're going to be terrified. They're going to be anxious. So we really need to ensure that going into it, that we're preparing ourselves for the different dynamics that are happening now, leading into it, and what can potentially happen after. Now, we're not going to talk about either party. We're not going to talk about any of that. What we're going to talk about is relationship energy and how you can ensure that you are going after your goals and staying on track with what you want, but also respecting others and feeling respected by others in the process of that. And those of you that have followed me for a while, whether you've seen me on stage or whether you follow me on social media, or you, like I said earlier, have just joined me, you know that we use my flow formula. The flow formula are the 7 energies that work together to help you create momentum and flow toward what it is you want, whether that's for yourself individually, you have a personal goal or something you want to accomplish at work, whether it's as a team that you want to create a project or an action plan, whether it's as a company or a community. You can use these 7 energies, layer it on to ensure that you're creating the path and progress forward toward what you want. So I'm going to just give you a quick outline for the new people here. And it's always a good refresher because, repetition is never a bad thing. So the flow formula starts with vision energy. Vision energy is that ability to look ahead, to see what you want, to say, I want this to happen by the end of today or in 50 years from now. Vision energy helps become that anchor point so that you can make the right decisions, hang out with the right people, be in the right job, do the right things for yourself personally and professionally. Then we have strategy energy, and that's ensuring that the vision that you have has a solid plan behind it. The people, the tools, the resources, all the things that you need to create the plan and the strategy to make the vision real. Once you have the vision and the strategy energies turned on, communication energy is then telling the world about it, getting people on board, ensuring that you are communicating what it is that you want authentically, while also honoring that the people that you're trying to get on board with your vision and strategy don't necessarily know the background. They don't necessarily know how you came to the decision to push this vision and strategy out into the world, whether it's something big at work or something small in your personal life or vice versa. So communication energy really is ensuring staying true to yourself, but then also honoring those and taking them along and meeting them where they're at to get them to where you want them to go. Relationship energy, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, is ensuring you're surrounding yourself with the right people and that you have boundaries around those people that are energy vampires that drain you. And they're all around you in your workplaces, in your families, in your friend groups, as strangers in the grocery store line. So we want to have, yes, the supporters, but we also want to have the boundaries around the detractors, but also an open mind, knowing that sometimes people who are different than you or aren't like you or don't like you or you don't like them actually can be really great growth opportunities, which is the focus of today. Once you have those turned on, the vision, the plan, you're telling the world about it, you've got the right people around you to make that vision and strategy real, then we need your confidence energy turned on. And that's tuning into your own superpowers, using what you know you're amazing at, knowing what you're great at, and then using those to take action. So we're often very humble. We don't want to brag. We don't want to seem egotistical. But when you can actually step back and say, okay, how can I actually use all these gifts in a more powerful and forthright and positive way, it's really a powerful way to make things more fun. Things will be faster. You'll magnetize the right people and the right opportunities to you. So confidence energy is really, really critical in any plan or goal that you have for yourself or for a bigger entity. Then we have creativity energy, and that's having fun in the process. That's ensuring that, all the pressures of adulting and workplaces and in our world today, it can be heavy. You need a release valve for that. And that's where creativity energy comes in, where you're just having fun, you're smiling, you're laughing, and you're building that into your day every day, and especially on the hard days, rather than letting the fun stuff fall to the bottom of that to-do list. You have to prioritize the fun so that you can reassess what's going on with a fresh mindset. It actually recharges your body, changes that stress response. It fills you with dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. I can get super nerdy because if you've seen me speak before, you know about me, I'm a huge nerd. I'm a big researcher. And so making sure that you interrupt that stress response with those feel-good chemicals, really critical. And that's what creativity energy does. Plus, it's just more fun. When you're doing stuff that's fun, it's fun. So then it brings us to motivation energy. And that is ensuring that you have awareness around what your big butts are. That's what we focused on last week. Remember, we talked about motivation energy and how you have to be aware of what can stop you before you've even begun, because you can have the best of intentions with a clear vision. You can have the best plan. You can have communication energy flowing with those around you to make it happen. You can have the right people around you in relationships. You're tapping into your superpowers and you're having fun. But then when push comes to shove, when rubber needs to meet the road, it just can't convert. You just can't make it happen for all kinds of reasons. And sometimes those big butts, the things that get in your way, are part of your motivation killers. Now, keep in mind that of these 7 energies, I teach energy hacks. Energy hacks are things that can turn these energies on, unblock you, keep you moving forward and flowing. There are thousands of those, thousands. And every week we're just doing one. So last week when we talked about motivation energy, we talked about your big butts. And what are those things that appear in your mind thinking, oh yeah, I would love to make this happen, but I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the support. Whatever those big butts are for you, you have to be aware of those, because that awareness then allows you to take action and start to get rid of, eliminate, make easier all of those big butts. And that's what we focused on last week. So take a moment, if you joined me last week, and check in with yourself. How did you do on that? How did you do on your number one priority last week that you identified? Because part of the value of this show and attending every Monday for 10 to 15 minutes, maybe today, because I got to go a little deeper with this pre-election stuff, is having your awareness of your habits and your patterns over time. Because when you become aware of those patterns and habits, that is when magic will start to happen. When you'll start to be able to say, okay, I am not in the right state to go after this. I need to shift something. I need to have an energy hack right now for creativity. You start to notice all of that. And this doesn't just apply to yourself individually. This works for work teams, for company goals, for family goals, for couple goals, for parenting. So always know that everything that I'm talking about, you can flip it and adjust it to really layer onto whatever you happen to be dealing with at the time. And if you need additional guidance or help or just a little pep talk, just reach out to me and I'll give you some ways that you could apply what we're learning every single week. Okay. All right. So that's the flow formula. You checked in on last week, how you did with that motivation energy and identifying your big butts that can potentially hold you back. Now we want to dig into this week. What do you want to make happen this week amidst all of this pre-election dynamic and drama that is going on around us? Now, some people are really good at just staying out of it. I stay out of it pretty well. In my line of work, I have to be neutral, and I actually am middle of the road politically, middle of the road on a lot of things, and some things I'm over here, some things I'm over here. So I'm pretty neutral most of the time. But it doesn't mean you don't see it, hear it, and feel it all around you in social media, in your workplaces, in conversations, in your families, on the news. It's everywhere. So we want to be sure this week that you're stepping back and saying, how can I ensure that I'm opening my mind to the relationships and the people that can actually help me move forward and grow, even if they aren't like me, even if I don't agree with them? Because so many times I see people butting heads, especially with this divisiveness of this current election and the current state of the world, where they're just shut down and they don't even want to hear what the other side has to say or what someone else has to suggest. And I get that. After my husband died, those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that I was widowed 17 years ago. And after that happened, I had some challenges in my brain because I grew up Lutheran and I didn't feel like this was something that should have happened. And I started doing research and I read every book that you could imagine. I'm a research nerd. I went to the International Science Fair in high school. I spent 15 years in corporate America doing market research and product development and trend development, and always was aware of multiple perspectives and looking at the implications of data, not necessarily going one way, but you can, use data to help you make multiple types of decisions. And so after my husband died, I read books on every different type of religion, on different types of self-help, on ways to be a leader, on ways to parent most effectively. Because those of you that have heard the story, my daughter was 10 months old when my husband died at the age of 30. So I was really trying to figure out a lot of things. Being a young new mom, being a high-level leader in my company, I was trying to figure out a lot of stuff. And as I was reading all of these books, I certainly didn't agree with everything that I read. But everything that I read helped me make the best decisions on the path forward for me and for my daughter, and eventually for my business when I started that about, 16 years ago. And now I've been doing it full time for 11 years. So multiple perspectives and hearing other people's ideas doesn't mean that you have to agree with them. It just means that you have new thought processes, new perspectives, and that new perspective, those perspectives I was learning back then actually led me to get my master's in integral theory, which I describe as the art and science of multiple perspectives, stepping out of your own head and saying, how do these different perspectives from people, from entities, from companies, from communities, from countries, how does that impact me? And how do I impact all of those things? And stepping back and really looking at it without all the boundaries and barriers of the one way of thinking that we've been used to. Doesn't mean that one way of thinking is bad. It just means having that perspective will help you actually think smarter, get more clarity, and actually expand the ability of your brain to create nerve pathways that can actually truly make you smarter and have an open mindset, which is really, really important in today's world. So let's start with thinking about that. And in the terms of that, what is one thing, your one priority this week that you could take or make or set to help you move forward during this pre-election dynamic with a more open mindset? What is that thing that you could do? Is it reaching out to someone who's not exactly like you? Is it listening to an alternative news channel or podcast or something like that? Is it listening to interviews from both parties rather than only your own, and listening to the full one, interviews or recordings as opposed to just the edited ones that can often be manipulated on both sides? So what can you do this week to really help yourself think more broadly, to seek out people that will help you think more broadly and open your mind a little bit? And as you're thinking about that, I want you to write it down, because when you write something down, it changes the way that you engage with it. It actually helps you say, okay, this is just some woo wah wah out here in the world that I may or may not do. But when you add it to your to-do list, this is my to-do list. I've shown you before. It's customized. I've created this template that helps me. It's a grid format with my multiple lists. But when you add it to your written list, it becomes something that your brain goes, okay, this is important. I have to focus on it. I need to do it. So write it down. Now, your energy hack around that. You've picked your priority. I want you to now think about who can help you with that priority specifically. Not just I'll find someone or I'll watch something or I'll do something, but who is that person that I call your fresh perspectives person? Because we all have people in our lives that are different than us. Sometimes we clash, sometimes we coexist. Many of my friends and I have different ideas about a lot of things in our lives. There are people that I know that I love hanging out with that have different ideas than me. There are people in my own family that are very different than me. But because I've been able to learn over the years, it wasn't always like this, but I've been able to learn over the years that new perspectives actually drive my own growth. It's been a powerful tool for me to be able to sit and listen and absorb and know that even if I'm learning and understanding them, it doesn't mean I need to agree with them. Because some people think, well, if I listen to so-and-so, that means I'm supporting that idea. You can still have your beliefs and your convictions. But the more you can listen and open your mind, the more you make decisions that are truly well-rounded for yourself and your loved ones, your community, and the world. So who is your fresh perspective person? Write that down right next to your top priority of the week. Now, one tool that you can use for this particular activity. Because if you're saying, well, I don't know who my fresh perspective, or how do I start the conversation with my fresh perspective person, is reciprocal energy. I talk about reciprocal energy all the time on stage with my one-on-one coaching clients, with my consulting clients. Reciprocal energy is important in every type of relationship, whether it's someone that you're just meeting, whether it's someone you're learning about, whether it's a coworker, a colleague, a boss, someone who reports to you, a romantic relationship, your kids. You want to ensure that you're putting in effort and they're putting in effort so that you both can grow, you both feel seen, you both feel heard. And the best way to start that is sometimes to be the first one to ask the question about a specific topic or a specific person's interests, or what people want to accomplish in their lives, things like that. And then it opens it up for them to ask back, and then that conversation can happen. So as you're thinking about how do I start this conversation with my fresh perspectives person, think about reciprocal energy. That's going to be a great way for you to say, you know what, I'm going to start this. I'm just going to ask the question. Hey, what are you looking forward to? Hey, what's one of your goals? Hey, what do you think about this? And always say, I do an exercise, we do a dogs and cats debate in some of my sessions, depending on the topic, but use the phrase, interesting, tell me more. It's a magic power phrase that will open up any conversation and relationship to create connection, even when you're different, even when you're not like that person, or they don't like you, or you don't like them. It'll help you build a bond of respect, even when the agreement on the end result isn't there. Okay, so that is a lot of stuff that we covered. Your fresh perspective person for your one priority this week, using reciprocal energy. Hopefully that will help you as we go through this really high drama, high tense time leading up to the election. And know that right now people are not as productive at work. They're nervous, they're scared, and that fear and stress response will shut down thinking and will shut down strategic and tactical thinking. So we want to be sure that you're helping people around you also feel this level of connection amidst this chaos. Okay. So with that in mind, next week, we're going to do another pre-election special like this, where I'll give you some really specific tips amidst what's going to be happening next week. But then all of November, after the election results come out, like I said, there's going to, regardless of who wins, half the country is going to be in a little bit of a high stress state. So we want to be sure that all of November, you've got some tools for yourself. So I'm going to have a 4-part webinar series running in November. I hoped to have it out last week, but it ran into some technology problems. But this week, by the end of this week, I'll have that out so you can go register for that. Or if you want to do a customized session just for your team based on what the dynamics are there, let's just pop on a quick call. We can do a virtual session if you want to bring me out live. I actually have kind of a lighter November this year. With the election, people were kind of holding off on their budgets and things like that, but we can certainly do a virtual session immediately right after that election to make sure that your team stays engaged, stays respectful, that that fear and stress response doesn't shut down their engagement, their productivity, their ability to close, especially now that we're in Q4, end of year, 2025 planning all in process. So reach out if you want to discuss some of that stuff. So this went a little long today. It was your weekly 20-minute action plan for growth, where normally we're at about 10. But I want to also share, as I do every single show, your momentum mantra for the week to help you with this priority that you have and of building this relationship energy with people that have different perspectives than you. So your momentum mantra: new people, new perspectives, new growth. When you think about that, when you meet new people, you get new perspectives, which shifts and opens your mind, which causes new growth for you and for them because they're hearing your perspectives as well. So new people, new perspectives, new growth. So thank you for joining me on this week's Energize to Rise. Every Monday at noon-ish, depending on where I'm at in the world, if I'm traveling or whatever, it's every Monday at noon for your 10-minute action plan for results. I hope you'll join me. Please share this with your team, with your loved ones, so that everyone can get on that flow formula ride and really start making some progress on their results. See you soon.